to thank you for joining me for episode number 19 of MidMOMama. My name is Jenny and I live in Sedalia, Missouri in the United States, where I am making in the Midwest. My program is about yarn crafts and food and whatever else I decide I want to talk about. In today's episode, I'm going to tell you about my projects that I'm working on, and I have a recipe for peach cobbler and a couple of other little knit stuffs, things that I want to share. So if that sounds like stuff that you're interested in, then I invite you to come along with me. So let's get this show on the road. So it's time for Mama Crafts. And I have two crafts that I've been working on since the last episode. In my Geeky Girls knit bag, I have the sweater I've been working on since the 1st of November, and I've made some significant progress in it. I really have been enjoying working on this. I would continue working on this if I didn't have other things I needed to do, but as I've mentioned before, I enjoy participating in MidMOMama, which is National Knit a Sweater Month. And the rules are that you're supposed to knit a sweater of 50,000 stitches or more in order to qualify for it being a Nanny Swimo project or whatever. I don't care about that. Like I said before that I don't even go into it thinking that I can finish a sweater in 30 days. So I just participate because I like the idea of working on a sweater in November, and I enjoy it. So that's why I do it, and if people don't like it, that's just the way it goes. But this is the progress I made this month. Let me smooth it out some so that it shows off right. Alright, so here's what I've done. I am so pleased with this. This is the back panel of it. So I have, I'm using Knit Picks Brava Sport, which is 100% acrylic. The colorways I am using is silver, coral, and caution. Okay, and that's the way this looks. It's very pretty. I like the stripes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to always do 2 rows of coral, 1 of caution throughout. So on the front and back. Because I just think it adds, rather than alternating back and forth, I think this just adds a little more interest. It gives it sort of a modern stripe up here, I think. But the progress I made since last episode, you can see where the stitch marker is clipped on. It's like in the middle of the caution row. So from that point on is what I've completed. And I think it's turned out beautifully. I'm very pleased with my progress. I had put a lofty goal out there to perhaps finish the back panel before the end of the month, but clearly I did not do that. But the progress I have made on it is fantastic. I'm very pleased with my work. I'm very pleased with the pattern. The pattern is called Janet Guthrie by Ann Hansen. And I have the link to the pattern on her website. You can buy it off the website or you can buy it off of Ravelry. I love my sweater. And as soon as I get some other projects completed, I'm going to get back into this sweater because I really like it. I really do. It has a garter stitch hem, and then it's stockinette except for where you add the color. So you do a garter stitch row, and then you do eyelets, and then you do another garter stitch row to finish off the stripe. So, and then everything else is stockinette stitch. I'm loving it. I like it a lot. But that's gonna go. I'm gonna put that aside for a period of time. But I'm really looking forward to getting back into that one because I think I think that one's going to be a winner. The knitting needles I'm using on that, I'm currently using US 6. You have to start out with US 4s, but once you get to the main body of the pattern, you're using US 6s throughout. So today, yesterday was the first day of December, and I was on Parler the other day, and knitters and crocheters are still trying to find each other. You can't follow hashtags like you can in Instagram. So you have to manually search for people, for hashtags. So every couple weeks or so I'll search knitting or crochet, and I try to find people to follow. And so I was chit-chatting with one girl, and I said, talking about we decorated for Christmas, but we can only decorate the upper half of the tree. The lower half can't be decorated because my cat likes to attack the ornaments. And so we learned very early on that we could no longer use the glass balls because they break. He just knocks them off. He thinks those are his toys, that we put them up there for him to play with, and we don't. But we can't keep him out of the tree. So we just decorate the top half, and then he goes leaping for the candy canes. He loves to play with candy canes. I guess there's something in peppermint that he really, really likes. So so he's been leaping up and trying to knock the candy canes off of the tree, and he's been fairly successful at that, getting his little treats. But I thought it would be a fun idea if I was to knit and crochet ornaments for the tree, and if Boots knocks them off the tree, at least it's not broken. So anyway, I was mentioning that, to this lady on Parler that, hey, I'm going to start making my own ornaments. I'm going to spend 2021, working on ornaments. And she responded back to me and said, she said, I made these patterns for ornaments. Would you like to test knit them? And I said, yes. So she emailed me her patterns, and you know who she is? She has an Etsy shop, and she was featured on the Naughty Nitwits podcast. She gave Michelle and Leslie these mugs that had the Fair Isle, their names on them in Fair Isle. Her Etsy shop is Knit Swag. And she has a few patterns on there. But she's got the Fair Isle mugs and all kinds of different knitting swags. So in my show notes under the Christmas tree ornaments and Mama Crafts, I have her Etsy shop listed, linked, knit swag. So click on that link and check out her Etsy store. She's got all kinds of wonderful things. But at the moment, I am test knitting her ornament patterns. She's got 2 of them. And I looked on Etsy, she doesn't have them up there yet. So hope she's not waiting for me because I'm slow. But I've got this is a mini 2x2 striped stocking. And she gave me a mini checkerboard stocking to try. And they're just mini. They're Christmas ornament size. And so I was tickled. And so now, and because I put it together that she was featured on Naughty Nitwits, I had this light bulb moment, and I'm like, there's networking going on around here. We have networking happening. So I want to show you what I have knitted so far on the striped stocking. It's so cute. I'm just using, I love this yarn. This is red. They didn't have a straight green at Hobby Lobby. So I had to get something close. I had to get Jelly Bean, which is close enough to Kelly. I would have gone with Kelly Green, but this is close to Kelly, but it's not. It's a little bit lighter than Kelly, but it's, there's no doubt about it that it's green. And then of course I have white. I love this yarn in white. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make 3 of the striped ones and 3 of the checkerboard ones. Maybe 4 of each so that I have equal ones. But I'm going to make red and white ones. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll make 2 red and white ones and 2 green and white ones. That's 4. So anyway, here's what I have so far. It's adorable. It's going to be cute. So I have it knitted, stranded. I'll show you the back of it because everybody likes to see the back of people's color works, and mine's not pretty. I don't know. I have not swapped yarns in a row before on knitting needles, and I'm not sure I'm doing it right, so don't judge me. I'm not a master knitter yet. I just piddle around, and this is my first time with, I guess they call it stranded knitting, Fair Isle floats and stuff. So here's what the back of mine looks like. I don't think it looks too bad. I mean, I think it looks pretty good for a first timer. But that's what it looks like in the back. But what she has you do is you knit it flat, and then you fold it in half and seam it up the back. So it's going well. It's going well. I struggled with the second row. I was having a hard time getting the stitch count at the end, and so I sent her an email with a picture of what I had, and so she clarified for me, and so that worked out. So, I guess that's what test knitting is for, though. if you're going to test a pattern and something's not clear, that helps the designer, if you tell her, look, I don't get this part, then that helps her make sure that it's written clearly. So I feel like that was, but ever since then I finished row 10 last night, and so far everything's going just fine. So that's good. With me being a beginner color work knitter, I think it would be helpful, and especially on such a small pattern, this would be perfect for someone who's just now learning how to do color work, like me. So, a hint on how to drop your yarn and pick up alternate. I know it's supposed to be a short and sweet pattern, and that's understandable. But maybe there's some kind of a note she could put in there to help a knitter know that when they drop one color and pick up another, how that's supposed to lay in the back. But I could probably search that on YouTube and find that. So I don't think that's a criticism. I don't think that's a criticism of the pattern at all. You can find a wealth of information on how to execute certain things on YouTube. There's a plethora of it, but just to add a touch that might be useful to people. But with the way resources go these days, you have a wealth of information. So hopefully I'll get done with this, in the next couple of days, and then I can get started on the checkerboard one, and so she can have those published and ready on her Etsy store. So keep an eye on her Etsy store for the stockings, so that you can get her pattern when you get a chance. As I said, the one I'm working on is called the Mini 2x2 Striped Stocking by Kelly Vaughn. That's her name, Kelly Vaughn, from Knit Swag on Etsy. The yarn is I Love This Yarn in Jelly Bean, red and white. The needles I'm using are called, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's LIHAO. It's a US 8, which is a 5mm needle. I guess they're bamboo. And my bag is a Joanne fabric shopping bag. It says procrastinating on it, and it says it's a verb, to defer all other activities besides knitting. So I'm enjoying working on them. I'm a slow knitter, though. I kind of feel bad. I'm sure I've never test knitted anything before. This is my first time test knitting, and I'm probably not the very best choice because I'm slow, but I wasn't planning to start knitting on ornaments until after Christmas, because I sort of kind of wanted to work on a couple more hats for my kids. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm enjoying the little stockings. I'll make one of each for Kelly, and then I'll get working on the hats, but the hats will be delayed. I have one done. I have that blue one done that I did a couple of months ago. I enjoyed working on that one too. So, well, that's all that I'm working on. I haven't finished anything, of course, because that doesn't happen as frequently as for other people. I don't know why I'm slow. And I don't get a chance to knit every single day. And I think that's why. A lot of people make it it's just I don't get to. I would like to be able to knit every single day, but that's just I don't knit every single day. So let's move on to the next segment. And now it's time for Mama's Pattern Showcase. This is the part of the show where I feature the top patterns that you find on Ravelry, but they're available from other sources. So last time I did 2 crochet patterns and 3 knit patterns. So this time I'm going to do 3 crochet patterns and 2 knit patterns. So the first pattern I would like to showcase is called Crochet a Block 2021 by Juanita Theron. This pattern is number 1 on the Crochet Top 20. It's a free crochet along of 25 squares plus joining and the border. And it is going to be done at Creative Crochet Workshop Facebook group. So it's going to be a blanket using DK weight, but gauge is not necessary for this project to be perfect. However, if you use a different yarn and or hook size, your project will differ. Okay. So because she's using DK, she used an E hook, which is the 3.5 millimeter. The squares are approximately 9 by 9 inches, and you're going to make 25 of them. This pattern is available for free. This Crochet a Block 2021 is a Mystery Squares Throw Crochet Along. Crochet along with me 25 squares, each different and unique, to make a beautiful throw. It's for an intermediate skill level. It says join the Creative Crochet Workshop Facebook group and or the Ravelry group, and share your progress on Instagram. Video tutorials will be available on my YouTube channel. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, gives you a link in Ravelry. I'm sure you can find links to her YouTube in her Facebook group as well. Do you want extra tips and tricks, plus get each square pattern a week earlier than anyone else? Then join my Patreon Mandala Devotee or Crochet Superfan tier. So if you join her Patreon, you'll get the patterns early. Otherwise, you're just going to have to wait with all the regular people. So there's details on how much yarn you're going to need and all that. I'm not going to go over that. And it tells you the type of stitches that you need. Tells you the finish. So the squares are approximately 9 inches square, and the throw is going to end up being 45 inches square. A new square will be released every Wednesday starting on 6 January 2021, South African time. So the designer is in South Africa. Wouldn't that be fun to do a crochet along with somebody in another part of the world? I think that would be fun. A couple of weeks ago, the Australians were showing their crochet along, So you can do a crochet along with a group of Australian designers, and you can do a crochet along with someone from South Africa. How fabulous! So check that out if you're interested. The next pattern I would like to showcase today is Santa's Bag and Gifts by Octopus Crochet. That pattern is number 3 on the Crochet Top 20. You can purchase it on Ravelry for $2.30, but it is free at Octopus Crochet. So I have the link in my show notes. I'll have the link to Ravelry and the link to the website that you can get it from. And usually the reason you have to pay for the Ravelry one is because usually there's no ads in it. And you can go to the free one if you don't mind looking at all the ads on the web page. So, Santa's Bag and Gifts by Octopus Crochet. These are hanging ornaments using Aran weight and an E-hook, 3.5 mil. If you're looking to make last-minute Christmas decorations or stocking stuffer, the Santa's Bag and Gifts crochet pattern is the ideal pattern for it. Beginner level with detailed instructions, tutorials. Hard to believe you can make so much out of these little cute ornaments. I'm telling you, the hardest part will be to choose the colors. Wonderful. And then what it is, it's a Santa sack, and then you can make little square puffy ornaments. It's adorable, absolutely adorable. So check that out. It's the Santa's Bag and Gifts. The next pattern I would like to showcase on my show today is called Emerald Opulence by Veronica Cromwell. This pattern is number 5 on the Crochet Top 20. You can purchase it on Ravelry for $3.50, or you can obtain a copy of the magazine Crochet Now, issue 21, to get the pattern, or you can get it on Etsy at Blue Star Crochet. The Emerald Opulence is a blanket throw using worsted weight yarn and a hook size E. All 3 of these patterns featured an E-hook, which is 3.5 millimeters. How neat. It uses UK crochet terminology. That's what's different about this one compared to those other 2. Those other 2 used US crochet terminology. So this one, just make note that this particular pattern uses UK crochet terminology. So that all that means is that your double crochets and your triple crochets are called different things. But it's easy to find a conversion table. So don't let the fact that it's written in UK terminology turn you off if you like a pattern, because it's very easy to find a conversion chart. And if you wanted to rewrite it in US terminology, you could, or if you just have your little chart right next to your pattern, so that when they say to do this, make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do. So the narrative, previously published in Crochet Now magazine, Emerald Opulence is a great addition to your home furnishings. It's made up of hexagon motifs arranged in a beautiful diamond shape. The blanket is finished off with tassels that gives the blanket a luxurious feel. It's a beautiful blanket, I must say. The pattern lends itself to many different color combinations. So if you look at this and you think, oh, the pattern's nice, but I probably wouldn't use that color combination, you do whatever colors you like. That's what I love about knitting and crochet. You know, you can have an actual pattern, but you will completely change the look of it by the colors that you use. And I think that's why so many people like to re-knit the same pattern over and over again, because they can make it, just the fact that it's a different color, you know, transforms it so much that, you know, it's almost like you've knitted something brand new. I'm just the opposite though. I very seldom make the same thing twice, just because, well, there's so many patterns out there to enjoy. You know, I don't want to just pigeonhole myself into one or, you know, handful of favorite patterns. I like to try all different kinds. So, but at any rate, I got off track. But the blanket pattern is very beautiful, and I encourage you to take a look at it. The next pattern I would like to showcase is called, I'm on the knit patterns now. So the first one is called Zanzibar Shawlette by Shannon Dunbabin. This pattern is number 13 on the Knitting Top 20. You can get it for free at Cascade Yarn's website. Okay, so it's a knitted shawl wrap using Cascade Yarn's Reverb, which is a sport weight yarn. They use a US 5, which is a 3.75 millimeter needle. It makes one size. You'll need about 546 yards. There's a direct pattern link in there to go in Ravelry to go straight to the website, but I've provided the website in my show notes as well. This pattern is for an intermediate skill level. If you're going to use the Cascade Yarns Reverb, you're going to need 2 skeins. She used the colorway Cinnabar, and it measures out to be about 60 inches long by about 13 inches deep. And it's a very beautiful pattern. I like the stitch pattern on that. It breaks up, so you have a certain stitch pattern, and then you get a divider line, and then you pick up that same stitch pattern, and then you have another divider line, and then you have the fringe. So it's kind of like an asymmetrical scarf shawlette thing. I think it's beautiful. Give it a go. And finally, I would like to showcase to you the Sweet Cinnamon Wrap by Karen Fletcher. This pattern is number 16 on the Knitting Top 20, and you can get it for free at I Like Knitting Collections Club. So I have the link in the show notes, but you can also find it on Ravelry. The pattern is not available on Ravelry, and that's the same with the previous knitting pattern too. You cannot purchase it or obtain it from Ravelry. So the Zanzibar Shawlette and the the Sweet Cinnamon Wrap, you cannot get the pattern on Ravelry. You have to go to the website to get it. But in both instances, these patterns are free. So, so the Sweet Cinnamon Wrap is knitted using worsted weight. They used Cascade Yarn's Aero, A-E-R-E-O. E-I-E-I-O. That's what that made me think of. Worsted weight yarn using US 10 6mm needles. You'll need 720 yards, and this wrap measures out to be about 18 inches by 72 inches, so it's long and fairly narrow. It says, wrap yourself up to keep cozy as we head into fall and winter. This wrap is a fantastic project for newer knitters and a great introduction to charts and patterns, since the pattern always builds on the rows beneath it in a predictable way. Featuring the Cascade Yarn's Aero in Provence, just like the Harvest Poncho pattern also in this issue. This is one of our favorites for the new season. It says that this should take 1 to 2 weeks to complete. It's a beginner skill level. The written pattern and the chart say exactly the same thing in 2 different ways, one with abbreviations and the other graphically. So pick whichever works best for you. So if you're more of a chart person, you can completely knit the entire thing using a chart. If you're a written pattern person, you can completely execute the pattern using that. So you're not flopping back and forth between written and chart. You can choose your favorite method and go. So that's wonderful, and it's a very nice looking scarf wrap. It's pretty thick, it's a wide scarf. She calls it a wrap. It is big enough to wrap around your shoulders. There's no doubt about that. But it's lovely. It's a nice color too. I like that color. It's kind of a rust. They called it Provence. But it's pretty. Very, very nice, I would say. So that concludes Mama's Pattern Showcase. To recap, you got the Crochet-A-Block 2021 by Joanna Theron. You have Santa's Bag and Gifts by Octopus Crochet. And you have Emerald Opulence by Veronica Cromwell. And then the 2 knit patterns are Zanzibar Chalette by Shannon Dunbabin and Sweet Cinnamon Wrap by Karen Fletcher. So if you're interested in checking out those patterns, I encourage you to take a look at my show notes and find all those links for whatever you're interested in looking at. And now it's time for the next segment. So now it's time for Mama Bakes. And I have to tell you, okay, here we had, these past couple weeks, we had Thanksgiving. And I didn't take pictures of anything. Just about every recipe I made, I used the recipe that was on the can. Like for instance, when I make pumpkin pie, I don't have a special recipe for that. I just use whatever the recipe is on the side of the can. When I make green bean casserole, I just use the recipe that's on the French fried onions container. I used Pillsbury roll-out pie crust. So I made the broccoli casserole, but I featured that in a previous episode. I don't remember which one, but I think I made it at Easter time, because somebody had a hankering for it, and so I made it. Usually I only make that once a year. I either made it for Easter or Mother's Day. You can look at my past episodes. If I remember to look for it, I just like to look for it now. It just delays things, but I have a recipe for my green bean casserole. I mean, not my green bean casserole, but my broccoli casserole on YouTube. Episode 2. In episode 2, I featured, so if you're interested in my broccoli casserole, check out episode 2. I'll link it at the end of my program so that you can see it if you're interested. So, I didn't have anything special. And one thing I did make, I completely forgot to take my little pictures so I can do my voiceovers and my little sing. So, but I'll include the recipe in my show notes. But I made from this book that I read a little while ago, was called Getting a Bad Glare. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that. I can't see, but it's called Knit One, Dye Two by Peggy Earhart. And in the back of the book, she's got a recipe for peach cobbler. Now, most of the time, I use the Bisquick recipe, and I make a 13 by 9 one. So I think the one on the Bisquick website, I think it's Betty Crocker. It makes a square, a small one, a square. So usually I'll just double the recipe and I'll use it. But I wanted to try Pamela's peach cobbler, and it was good. I overbaked it. I think I can share a picture of the finished item. So that's what I'll do. I'll share a picture of the finished item. Suggest using rum or bourbon as a flavoring in the cobbler. I didn't. My family's a bunch of teetotalers. We don't imbibe. And I knew that if there was a liquor flavor in the dessert, my dad would detect it and he would not be happy. So I could have thrown in some bourbon or some rum, but I didn't. I don't even have rum. I have bourbon. If I am going to drink a liquor, bourbon's the one I'm going to go for, but it's very seldom. Very, very seldom. But I almost always have a bottle of bourbon on hand. Just in case, for medicinal purposes. I'm kidding. Oh my goodness, I sound like I'm... At any rate, I thought the recipe was good. Of course, it called for fresh peaches, and I didn't have fresh peaches. I used the large cans of peaches. I probably would have doubled the peaches, because at the end of the day, after it was done, the pizzas kind of shriveled up a little bit. I mean, it was still peach cobbler, there was still no doubt about it, but I drained them. I drained the peaches. I didn't use the peaches and the juice. I just used the peaches. So I felt like instead of using 2 large cans, I probably would have used 4 large cans drained. But it turned out real nice. Before you put it in the oven, she wants you to sprinkle it with sugar. Well, it made my cobblers get just a little tiny bit over baked. So I wouldn't say it was burnt, and it definitely wasn't inedible. It was definitely, edible, but it was just a little bit darker on top than what I like to see in my baked goods. So I'm thinking if I make it again, which I probably won't, and it was good. It was good. I'm not criticizing the recipe, but for my taste, if I was gonna sprinkle anything on there, it'd probably be after it came out of the oven. And as soon as it came out of the oven, I would sprinkle it with sugar or sprinkle it with sugar, cinnamon, or whatever. But I thought it was a very delightful dessert. It was good with ice cream on it, and my folks really enjoyed it, and so that was good. So I'll share that recipe with you. But I didn't cook anything. I mean, everything that we cooked for Thanksgiving was special, but it wasn't something that you couldn't get yourself. If I'm going to use a recipe on the side of a can, well, you can use the same recipe on the side of a can. So I don't feel like I need to do a show about it. If I'm doing something with a recipe that you may not have access to, then that's the kind of stuff that I want to put on my show. So, peach cobbler, but you're not going to get a step-by-step. I'll just put the recipe in my show notes, and if you want to try their Pamela's peach cobbler, then by all means, go for it. But now it's time to move on to the next segment. And now it's time for Mama Reads. And I completed another book. This one is called, my lighting is poor. This is called Charlotte, Heart of Hope. It's number 2 in the Hearts and Dreams series by Cameron Doakey. I think this series is out of print. I tried to look for number 1 and number 3, but I couldn't find it. If you're interested, book 1 is called Catherine, Heart of Freedom, and book 3 is called Stephanie, Heart of Gold. So it's a young adult series, I think it is. It came from the St. Louis County Library, and it was categorized as juvenile. A juvenile uncatalogued paperback. So, anyway, I thought it was a delightful story. It was very interesting, and I enjoyed it. About this young girl, she grew up in the Indiana Territory, and then she moved to Baltimore to be with her aunt and her family. And, it's 1812, and there's some tension between the British and the U.S., and so a bunch of stuff is going down, and it's kind of like spying and stuff, but it's also most definitely a romance. no doubt about it. But it was a cute book. So there's that. And I'm still working on Advent. The Weary World Rejoices by Lifeway Women. We are into joy now. So we've done hope and peace, and now we're working on joy. And that's been really good. We've been enjoying. We didn't do a craft last Wednesday because it was the day before Thanksgiving, and I knew all us women. Some of the women couldn't even come, but and I knew people had, the day before Thanksgiving, everybody's got stuff they gotta get done. So instead of having a craft, we just did our study, and everybody went on their way. But that was good. It was nice abbreviated study. And we have two more sessions, and then we'll be done with that one. And then this book was given to me when I got diagnosed with cancer back in 2019. Everybody talks about how 2020 is the worst year of their life, Well, I'd say 2019 was the worst year of my life. It's been fairly easy living with COVID. I haven't got it. I know that it is prolific in my community right now. But I wear a mask when I should. But I figure at this point, if you haven't got it, you're gonna get it. You just, I don't, to me, the mask, I can take it or leave it. I don't mind wearing the mask. If I see people around and they're not wearing a mask, I don't think they hate people. I don't think that they're trying to spread illness. I don't think anything. Conversely, if I see someone wearing a mask, I don't think that they're, I don't think that they're, consumed by fear or anything like that. I don't think anything. If I feel like every person is responsible for themselves. And, if someone's not wearing a mask, I don't care. If somebody is wearing a mask, I don't care. Most of the time I wear a mask, and there are a few instances where I don't. I just go by what the sign on the door says. If there's a sign on the door that asks you to wear a mask, I put the mask on. If there's no sign on the door that says to put a mask on, I usually opt not to. There's other things to make a big deal about other than wearing masks, and I don't care. Wear a mask, don't wear a mask, I don't care. You do you, and let everybody else do everybody else. I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with masks, but sorry, I got off on the wrong. Anyway, while I was going through cancer, I was given a book. It was called What Cancer Cannot Do. And this is what it looks like. Which I don't know if you're going to get a good picture of it because my lights might wash it out. But it's called What Cancer Cannot Do. Stories of Hope and Encouragement by Phyllis Ten Elshoff. And I started reading it yesterday, and it's delightful. If you're a Christian and you're diagnosed with cancer, I recommend it. If you're not a Christian and you're diagnosed with cancer, I recommend it. Because when when is your spirituality challenged more than when you're facing an illness that is as devastating as cancer? Everyone needs something beyond themselves to grasp onto when they're struggling with cancer. When you have family and friends that are praying for you and supporting you and everything, that means a lot. That means a lot. But knowing that God is out there, He loves me. He loves me so much that His Son died for me. You know, it's important to put that into perspective when you're suffering from cancer. And, you know, Jesus is there for our comfort and for our hope. Because as Christians, we know we're not going to suffer forever. That our suffering will come to an end. And the promise of that is encouraging to people who are enduring it. Now, I don't know how people go through things like that without faith in God. But if you ever find yourself in a battle for cancer, or if you know somebody that you love, I would highly recommend you send them a copy of this book for encouragement, because that was nice. I didn't want to read about cancer when I was going through cancer. I had my friends, I had my family, I had so many people praying for me. I had faith in the Lord. I didn't turn from the Lord. I went to Him, but I didn't want to read cancer-related stuff when I was fighting cancer. So even if you buy that for someone who's got cancer, they might not want to read it right now. That's okay. But I've come to it now. I survived it. I feel good. And now I don't mind looking back and reflecting on it. So I'm reading that. And because it's Christmas, a lot of the stuff, because they're Christmas, they're not Christmas, they're Christian stories, I think that it helps. As a matter of fact, it helps because, especially in this time of COVID, I think people will find encouragement through that book. So I recommend it. I recommend anybody who wants to be encouraged in something that they're struggling with, and it doesn't necessarily have to be cancer. What if you're dealing with, you have a loved one that's got Alzheimer's, or if you're dealing with, what if you're going through a divorce? I think you could read that and be encouraged. I mean, Christians go through divorce just like anybody else does, and that's a traumatic season of life. And you wonder how you're going to make it through it. And, if you can find stuff, to help comfort you in those times of distress, I think that's a good thing. So I think that's it for as far as reading. So let's move on to the next segment. MidMOMama. And I've watched 2 movies since the last episode. I watched A Family Thanksgiving from 2010 featuring Daphne Zuniga and Dan Payne and Faye Dunaway. And that was adorable. It was a cute little movie. She's a hard-working corporate attorney. And she had left her dreams, or she came across this fairy godmother who, if you've ever seen The Family Man with Nicolas Cage in it, it's the same thing, only it's a woman, and she's, you know, she's not family oriented at all, but a fairy godmother puts her back in time where she did have a family. And it turned out, lo and behold, she preferred the family life to the corporate attorney life. So it was good. It was a good movie. And then I watched Jailhouse Rock from 1957 with Elvis Presley and Judy Tyler and Mickey Shaughnessy. And it was great. It was great. Jailhouse Rock is a good classic. Lots of good music in it. Elvis Presley wasn't really all that good of an actor, but it wasn't about his acting. It was about him. So I imagine all those little teen women, you know, really enjoyed watching him on the big screen whenever he was out there. So I haven't seen a whole lot of Elvis movies. But that's it. That's it for movies. So let's move on to the next segment. So now it's time for Miscellaneous Mama, and we are at the part of the show where I just talk about whatever. And we had our Thanksgiving. We actually celebrated our Thanksgiving on Saturday the 21st. And we had our ham and our turkey and our big meal on that Saturday, because on that following Monday before Thanksgiving, my husband had his teeth extracted. He'd had partials for a long time, for a while, but his existing natural teeth were eroding away. And so the dentist said, look, you're just going to have to get full dentures now. So anyway, he got it over with, but we knew he wasn't going to be able to eat. So we had our big Thanksgiving meal beforehand. But then when Thanksgiving Day came around, we ended up going back over to my folks' house. And we ended up having roast beef and mashed potatoes and corn and rolls and gravy. And Scott was able to eat mashed potatoes and gravy. He had a hard time. There's no doubt about it. When you have 8 teeth removed, it's going to hurt. But he did the best he could. He's losing weight, but you know, as his wounds heal, he'll be able to eat more. But I try to encourage him because I know all about mouth pain. Well, he does too. I mean, when he had his partials, he had 11 teeth taken out. So, and then now he has, you know, this time he had 8. So he's no stranger to mouth pain. But because I've also experienced adversity of the mouth, I could commiserate with him. So that's helpful when you have someone who can identify with what they're going through. But he's doing progressively better. You know, he still has issues and he has a hard time, but he's doing better than he was. And his toe is healing. He goes to the doctor today for a progress check. So hopefully that's doing. Hopefully it's starting to look better. I think his big toe looks better, but the toe next to it, he had to wrap the second toe next to the first toe. Well, the second toe started to become chafed, and it looked like infection was setting in. So he stopped wrapping his toe, hopefully, so that his second toe would start healing. So he'll find out if things are improving today. And let's see, on Saturday, a group of friends of us got together and we went to Heroes for supper. It's a restaurant in Warrensburg, downtown, where they serve sandwiches and burgers, and they have some dinner meals and stuff like that. But we had supper there, and then we went to the botanical gardens called Powell Gardens, which is where Scott and I took had our pictures done at. Well, they decorated for Christmas. So we decided we were going to go check out the Christmas displays together. And it was a lot of fun. So there was 5 of us gals and 4 guys. My daughter came with us, so she was the one without a date. But we went to Powell Gardens, and people from all directions came. So people from Kansas City came, and people from our end of the state came, and long lines. I mean, the lines were atrocious. So we went in. It probably took about an hour to get into the park driving, and get in a place to park. And then it took over an hour in line outside to get into the park. And it was $12 a person for adults. There were no porta potties at all. So you had to wait until you got inside. That was tragic. And we had a few critiques. For $12 admission, we kind of was hoping that the hot chocolate would be free. They had little places where you can get cocktails. You can get, they had a bar where you can get wine or beer and stuff. And I would expect to have to pay for that. But for $12, all you got was the experience to look at the lights. And there was no music. So you're walking out there, and none of the lights were blinking. It was just straight lights. And they weren't, I don't know. I don't feel like it was worth $12. And a lot of the people that we were with didn't feel like it was worth $12. We had a wonderful time with each other, and we made lots of memories. And there were little places along the way where we could stop off and take a picture, but most of us didn't feel like doing that. Except for the snow globe. Everybody wanted to stand in the snow globe. And then they had these giant Adirondack chairs that everybody wanted to take a picture of sitting in the Adirondack chairs. And that was fun. But overall, our time together was a lot of fun, and we had a good time. But none of us felt like going to Powell Gardens was worth it. Now, in a couple of weeks, we're going to go down to Laurie, Missouri. They have a drive-through festival of lights You sit in the warmth of your car and you drive through, and it takes about 20 minutes to drive through it. But you don't have to pay, it's donation. So you drive through, and at the end they have people handing out candy canes and you can donate. We always go through twice, and we give them $10 each time. So, for $10 a carload, $20, we feel like it's worth it. But there's no price for admission. If you don't want to pay them anything, you don't have to. And so I just think it's nice. So the Festival of Lights down in Lowry is the one we're going to go to. We do that every year. And I feel like that's worth it. But we haven't been there yet, so I can't tell you about it. I do want to let you know that in January, I'm going to be having some giveaways. I don't want to do giveaways right in the middle of the holidays, just because everybody's got enough on their plate, and I don't want to. I don't want to deal with it during December. So watch out for January. Probably the first episode in January, I will announce a giveaway, and we'll get that going. Okay, I know y'all have been patiently waiting. No one ever did claim my 100 subscribers giveaway prize, so that will be in the offing. I will have some books that I'm going to offer to give away, and probably some other yarn. We'll see. I don't know. Well, I'm going to do one giveaway at a time, though. I'm not going to have multiple giveaways at one time. So in 2021, you're going to have opportunities to win all kinds of wonderful doodads and whatnots and stuff. My next episode will be December 17th. So I encourage you to have a wonderful time preparing for your Christmas. If you want to share in the comments things that you enjoy doing for Christmas, if there's a display that you like to look at in your area, or traditions that you would like to share, I encourage you to share those down in the comments with me. I often forget to encourage you to communicate via the comments. I'm very interested in getting to know the people that watch my program. So yeah, tell me some of your holiday traditions, foods that you like to prepare. If there's a special cookie that you make every year, or just whatever has to do with Christmas. I encourage you to just throw something in the comments. I'll respond to you. Well, let's move on to the next segment. I want to thank you for joining me today. I know that watching my show is a choice, and I am grateful that you have chosen to spend some of your valuable time with me. If you enjoyed what you saw today, I encourage you to click subscribe so that you can find me more easily next time. Episodes are posted on the first and third Thursday of every month, but if you click on the notification bell, you'll get a notice whenever a new episode goes public. If you want to ask me any questions, you can comment below, or you can contact me via email at midmomama2@gmail.com. I can be found on Instagram at MidMOMama1, on Ravelry, I'm MidMOMama, and on Parler, I'm also MidMOMama. So until next time, may God bless you. Bye.